Okay. All right. Hey, I'm Facebook Live again. It is 4:30 on Sunday. Hey, it's a great opportunity. Sunday, it's kind of a chill time. Hopefully, you're home, relaxing with family, maybe doing some holiday stuff. But I wanted to talk to you guys. And let me tell you right now, I am not about to just like give you little like pseudo ideas of how to work out and then like expect you to reach out to me for all the good stuff. My goal in this is just to give you all the good stuff. Like after this next 20-minute live, you should be able to go to the gym tomorrow and have a pretty dang good idea of what to do to get stronger and not get injured. So that's my goal today. Really going to take you through. And I'm speaking to like more so people in their 40s and 50s. When you're in your teens, 20s, and 30s, especially those early years when we're younger, you can do a lot of things and not get injured. You can make a lot of mistakes or have a lot of inefficiencies in your programming, and it's not really that detrimental to your workout. You can actually still get strong and bigger and achieve a lot of your goals, not by doing things that aren't really that you know scientifically proven to work. But we're so ramped up with all these hormones and our body's young, and so that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to men and women. I train a lot of men. I think women, there's a few subtleties to like training women versus training with men in their 40s that I, always consider. Of course, like perimenopause versus men's kind of different. You're in different, slightly different stages of your development, but for the most part, these concepts are going to be like exactly the same. But what's going to happen, and this is, I'm going to talk about kind of two main phases. I'm going to mention a third phase to your kind of strength and resistance training. But mainly, I'm going to talk about the first two because I think these are the two most important and probably where most of you are right now. If you're currently doing a strength program or going to the gym, what do I mean by a strength program? Is like going to the gym and moving weight around in the goal of resistance training to build muscle, keep muscle, stay strong, be strong. Somewhere in that category. And of course, body weight can have some of those same concepts or can produce some of the same results. But for the point of this live stream, I really want to just talk about strength training in the gym. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about just the benefits. Like, what are we doing with this? Like, what's the purpose, right? The whole point in this is really we want to strengthen the muscles of the body. Because when you're young, you whether you do a lot of activities or not, your body's generally pretty strong, capable of handling, the things that you're doing in life. But as we get older, your body starts to kind of lose the ability to do that. It starts to lose muscle. It starts to lose functionality. The joints start to get stiffer. Our range of motion gets a little bit worse. Those things start to deteriorate unless we are actively on a weekly basis working on strength training, on mobility, flexibility, and kind of putting together a program that's going to give you, keep you as healthy and as young feeling as possible, right? I mean, talk about like, the fountain of youth. Like it is truly strength training. If you want one thing to do that's going to keep you healthy for as long as possible, I promise you, it is not going on a diet. It's actually strength training. And for someone who started strength training when I was like 13 years old, that's just music to my ears because it almost like kind of, well, I've been doing that my whole life. Fantastic. I guess I just got to keep doing that. But for a lot of people who maybe were more into other things, running, yoga, other activities that are in the realm of fitness, but just kind of avoided strength training, you're going to need to shift a little bit your focus to make sure that you are incorporating strength training to get yourself as healthy and as strong as you can throughout your 50s, 60s, and beyond. Because if you end up into your 50s, 60s, and 70s strong and healthy and mobile, man, you're going to be hard to kill. You are going to be hard to knock down, and you're going to be living into your latter years really strong, healthy, and full of life, full of strength. So here it is. Okay, let's break it down. So obviously, we want to think about strength training without injury, right? Too many people, I see it a lot, and I've said it before, they're doing the same stuff over and over again. They're getting injured because they're just pushing weight where they're moving their joints in ways that are not optimal, and they're not doing enough flexibility and mobility to keep the muscles in the joint healthy, so that they're eventually kind of leading themselves to injury. We don't want to do that, right? So I'm going to talk about kind of the movement patterns I want you to focus on when you go to the gym, right? So this is very, very simple. There's really 5 main ones, right? There's a push, there's pull, there's squat, there's lunge, there's deadlift, right? Or hinge, some sort of a hinging from the hip. So now these 5, very important. So push, it's anything, bench press, push up, incline, shoulder press, right? All that is using our chest, our shoulders, our triceps, right? The higher up we go, the more it's the shoulders and triceps. Down here, obviously, we're using a lot of chest muscle, but that's mainly the muscle groups that are incorporated with push. Now, there's some stability and some upper back strength that's holding the shoulder in place while we do that stuff. So that's important to understand. But for the most part, when we're doing any kind of a push movement with our upper body, we're using those muscle groups. So it's important to do that, but we should know this. We've probably done more push, especially if you're somebody who comes to the gym or has been into exercise before. You're probably doing more push than anything else. It's kind of the default thing to do. What do we all do on Monday? If you're a guy, it's probably bench press or some sort of a chest exercise. And so we don't necessarily need to overdo that. Can be a fun thing to do and get you excited, but to overdo chest or pushy movements can lead to injury. So my goal for you would be like, hey, okay, it's either a flat push or an incline push, maybe some dumbbell shoulder press, but only 2 exercises, 3 sets each. That's it for the push day. Now you can have multiple over the course of the week. We'll talk about that in a bit. And I want you to go to pull. We want to have 2 main pull movements. A horizontal pull, really getting those shoulder blades back, getting the muscles of the back, the ones we can't see that need to be strong and active. So horizontal pull and a vertical pull down, like a pull up, things like that, chin up. Any of these positions is going to work. We can go wide, we can go narrow reverse, we can do kind of a neutral grip. As long as we're pulling down, we're getting a lot of that strong back muscles, the lats, the rhomboids, the traps are all working together. What that's also doing is building a very strong upper structure for your shoulders and your upper body, right? If we are all chest, guys, don't let you be all chest, right? If you're somebody who does too much chest and shoulders, not enough back, it starts to kind of pull our shoulders forward. And, you see a lot of these guys that are kind of chest out, pumped up, but their backs are flat. Like they don't have any, development of the back. And the back is really the foundation. If you're thinking about like the foundation of the body, it always comes from the back side, right? Your upper back and shoulders. That's what really keeps your shoulders strong. The rear delts back here, you need those, all that kind of stuff. It's hard to see it, so it's not as fun to work potentially. Glutes, hamstrings, same thing, low back. If we are strong all back here, down low, everything goes well, right? If we're weak and tight back here, then we tend to run into a lot of dysfunction. This is not that big a problem. So we got 2 push movements, right? It could be incline, it could be flat press, 3 sets only, not both, just one or the other. And then an upper shoulder press is fine too, right? Just 2 push movements, 2 big pull movements. I'm going to say 3 sets of push for each direction, and then 4 sets of pull, because I actually want you to get a little bit more pull so it's 4 sets of pull down, 4 sets of rows. If I say 4 sets, what I mean is 1 or 2 warm-up sets, and then 4 challenging working sets. Anytime you hear somebody say 4 sets, 3 sets, 2 sets, that's after the warm-up. That's an important piece, right? After the warm-up, boom, we're getting into those working sets. Hey, by the way, while I'm talking here, I did drop into the chat. If you want to jump and join, you can click on there. You can set up a call with me. If you want to get more detail on your situation, your workout program, what's maybe issues you're having or struggles you're having, plateaus you've hit, you want to talk to me about that. It's free of charge. Just love to have a conversation with you. So that's in the chat there if you'd like to. So going back, so we were at push, pull, squat, lunge, hinge, right? So Notice that there are 3 movements for the lower body and really 2 that we've broken into 2 different directions for the upper body. So we've got the push, push, we got the pull, pull, and now we've got some sort of a squat. Squat is, of course, we are bending at the knees and the hips, but it's really a knee dominant squat position where you're using the quads, a little bit of glutes and hamstring, especially as you get lower and lower, but it's quad dominant for the most part. Now we can do that with a leg press, with the squat machine, with dumbbells. You can pull some dumbbells right here, do some squats. We can obviously do barbell, use Zercher squats, holding them here, front squats in front of the neck. There's 1,000 ways to squat, but I want you to be doing squats, okay? Find a safe one, right? Don't need to load a whole bunch of weight. We'll talk about weight and load and chasing weight later. But right now, I just want you getting used to squatting. Feel free to stay in that 15 to 20 rep range to really build the movement pattern, getting the joints really freed up and loose when you're doing your squats. Then we got lunges. Now, lunge is really almost like a one-legged squat, right? But it's very important we learn how to use one leg at a time. Still a knee dominant, the hip bends, the knee bends, a lot of quad. We are getting more hamstring glute because there's more stability that is involved in the movement. So we get more hamstring and glute. I'd say like 50% quad, 25% hamstring, 25% glute is for the lunge. Whereas like squatting is probably like 70% quad and like 30% of the other 2, right? Those are 2 great movement patterns. So I'd say 3 sets of each, and then 3 sets of hinges, which can look like, if you're warming up, good morning, grabbing dumbbells, we can do deadlifts, but it's that hinge of the hip. Legs are generally straight, all right? You can grab barbell and pull it off the floor, all right? Those types of things, but that hinging movement is so important for the glute, the hamstring, the low back, that entire middle of the trunk, posterior chain. In fact, when you're doing a barbell or hex bar deadlift and you've got heavy weight and you're lifting it up here, you are using your back, your lats, the whole back of the body. That posterior chain is completely lit up. So it's an awesome exercise. And it will, if done safely without too much weight, right, be the thing that keeps you healthier forever. I promise you, and especially guys that love to do chest, bench press, but that the chest is not going to keep you strong. It's not going to keep you healthy forever. You work the back and the hands, you work those deadlifts appropriately, good form, don't overdo the weight. That will literally keep you healthy probably as long as possible because there's so much core involvement, glute, hamstring, total posterior chain, which is fantastic. Okay, next up. So those are your 5 primal movements, right? Push, pull, lunge, squat, deadlift. Now the other things I want you to kind of pepper in there, first of all, is warming up the core. So I'm definitely a fan of either a plank, elbow plank. You can do push-up position. Just make sure you're getting a rounded upper back, whether you're in plank. Imagine I'm laying on the floor here. We got the video, it's not going to work. But if I'm here, imagine this is the floor, I'm planking. I want my shoulders up in here to round, not collapse, but round forward. All right. I'm going to really fire up my serratus, my shoulder stabilizers, things like that. I'm going to engage my core, squeeze my legs and glutes, and just get the whole body engaged all together. Right. It's a great way to fire up all the stabilizers in the trunk and maximize your shoulder stability in the process. So my recommendation is, just start with whatever you can do, but push yourself pretty close to failure without dropping out, like without just letting your body kind of collapsing. Right? Find that position, hold it. If you need somebody to kind of watch you, tell them, hey, don't let me drop my shoulder blades down. Keep them out here. All right. That's going to help you really, build the right type of strength in the upper body, in the torso, and even in your legs. Next one is a side plank. So you're a side plank here, elbows on the ground, feet are stacked. You're just holding that position. Again, imagining this is the floor right here. I'm holding it now. I'm firing up all of these muscles. My lats are engaged, my shoulders stabilizing here. And that's a great one. 20, 30, 45 seconds on each side. great for all those stabilizing muscles and the obliques. Okay. And the third thing, and you can use a band with this. You can use a cable if you're at a gym, but you just connect it to something, right? Well, let's say you're connecting it to a door frame, a bench, or something that's stable, and from there you're going to do rotation. So imagine this is connected to something out here. I'm going to hold it and I'm going to rotate across and down, right? So this is stretching across and down. So if I'm holding like that, I'm pulling across. Now I'm working on rotational stability, right? Again, it doesn't need to be super heavy. Just slowly moving through this, feeling it all through the stomach muscles and the legs. Moving out and in. And if that's too hard, if you feel your low back, just hang out right here where the weight's trying to pull you and you're just holding the entire time to really fire up those muscles. Those would be the 3 core movements that I would keep in your routine. And then the final thing is just like the rhythm of the week. My recommendation is do your upper body work, so all the push and pull stuff on Monday, right? You can do legs on Tuesday or Wednesday, kind of the squat, lunge, and deadlift. And then you can come back on Friday and do kind of a reprieve and do everything on Friday. You can also split it up a little bit different. You could do like push squat on Monday. You could do pull lunges on Wednesday, and then you can come back and do push, pull, and deadlifts on Friday. As long as you're getting all those things twice a week, I think you're going to be on track. Okay. The last thing I want to say on that is really just making sure that you're warming up properly. Like the days of just walking to the gym, getting on the bench and starting to warm up on the bench are probably over for you, right? If you're over 40. I say that because, we just like the empathy of like, I've been there. Like I've dealt with a shoulder issue from just overdoing and not doing enough mobility and stretching and warming up and all that kind of stuff. Right now, I'm doing a lot of rotational stuff. I use a mace to get the shoulders really active and all the muscles in there. And it's like, I haven't felt better in a long time, but it's taken progress of like doing the stretching, doing the mobility, hitting the shoulder and stability from all different directions. I just don't want you to get to a place where you're getting injured. So my recommendation, of course, is to do some warming up for the shoulder, do some mobility. And at the end of your workout, feel free to do some good static stretching. Like I talked about in one of my recent Facebook Live videos, is just like getting that static stretch at the end of the workout and nice and warm. All right, so what tends to happen doing something like this for a couple of months, you're building momentum and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I want to level up a little bit. I want to do more, right? What people tend to chase is the weight. Like, oh man, I've been doing 185 on deadlift for 15. I feel like I'm ready to go to 225. I feel ready. Maybe I can get 300 by next month. We start thinking this way, and that's where we're just like getting closer and closer and closer to injury, right? As opposed to thinking, okay, I've been doing 3 sets of deadlifts twice a week. Let me go to 4 sets of deadlifts twice a week. Let me increase the volume versus increasing necessarily the load, right? Load being how much weight, right? Volume increase is a great way for the body to adapt to, the same weight. It's used to it, but now you're adding more volume, fatiguing the muscle a little bit more. You can even bring the rest interval down. So if you're doing like 2 minutes rest in between your squats or deadlifts, maybe you rest a minute 45 seconds. So you're increasing the amount of total volume and you're decreasing a little bit the rest. To me, that's much more effective for making sure you're continuing to progress than just chasing weight. Because I promise you, especially if you're kind of newer to fitness, if you're chasing weight in your 40s, you're just getting closer and closer and closer to an injury in general. Not everybody, of course, there's exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, I just see it over and over again. I see guys that I've seen at the gym a lot, and I don't see them for a month, and then I see him again. What happened? I haven't seen you. He's like, oh yeah, man, I threw my shoulder, the shoulder thing. I just pushed a little too hard. But it's the same story, right? When we chase weight, we're risking injury, and injury is at 45 or 50 is not something you just bounce back from, right? an injury can take you months to recover from. You can really like slow your momentum down, especially if it's like a low back, neck, or shoulder, like or knee. I mean, it just can derail all the progress you've made to that point. So my advice, just ask for you is to just think about doing it well and doing it with incremental development, where you focus more on increasing the volume, right? So remember I talked about 3 push sets for each of the movements. Why not go to 4? For like a month, just do, hey, I'm gonna go 4 sets. Maybe you could take the weight up slightly, but don't chase weight, chase more volume. And if you feel like you can, pull the time in between your sets back a little bit, or even superset a little bit. So I'm gonna do a push, not going to do incline dumbbell, right? And I'm going to go over and do pull downs. So I'm going to superset those 2 things together and make that more challenging for me. You do that, you're going to continue to get stronger. Your body's going to adapt to that type of stimulus, and it's going to grow, get stronger. And also that is more in lines with hypertrophy, which is going to lead to more muscle growth versus like chasing strength, chasing weight, which is more of that neurological strength training, which, you need a lot of stability, you need a foundation of a lot of strength and core development to be able to push without getting injured, which is why a lot of people get injured doing that, is they don't really have the stability in the joints, and they keep pushing the weight, and eventually they get injured. So that's my advice to you guys. I just want to stop there. The second, the first tier is what I talked about. The second tier is just adding volume. And then the third tier would be to incorporate some obviously more isometric, or not isometric, but isolation movements, right? So these are really kind of major mover muscles. So the third phase would be adding in some like dumbbell skull crushers, tricep push downs, some bicep curls after you do your back work. You could be doing some hamstring curls, leg extensions, glute work, things like that, a little more accessory type stuff. You can pepper that in. That's also going to add volume and fatigue your legs even more. And then that can be another way to, of course, increase your strength training program without increasing too much weight. I'm going to leave it there. Again, in the chat, you can see a link. If you want to jump there, set up a call with me, be fine with me. If you want a workout that relates to this, shoot me a DM or a text. I've got something I can send you, a PDF that you can follow that I think is going to be really fun for you. All right. Bart Brown signing out. Thanks again for watching.